What's up, Marvel fans? I'm Steven from the Hills Maniacs, and today I'm going to be answering the question in the title of this video: what really happened to the victims of Thanos' snap in Avengers Infinity War? So ever since I watched Avengers Infinity War and even Endgame after that, there was one question that's still kind of been on my mind for a while, and that is what exactly happened to the people who were dusted out of existence by Thanos and the Infinity Stones. Because we know, he collected all 6 Infinity Stones, he snapped his fingers, and everybody was turned into dust and kind of just whisked away into the wind or something. But when they return in Endgame after the Avengers, recollect all the Infinity Stones and snap their friends back into existence, or snap everybody back into existence, we hear from Spider-Man as he tells Tony Stark, he said he was somewhere with Doctor Strange where Doctor Strange was able to say, it's been 5 years, the Avengers need us. And then that's where Doctor Strange would have went and found everybody to bring them through the portals in that epic battle scene at the end of the movie. But that leaves the question then, what exactly happened, and when did Doctor Strange and Peter does that mean they were actually alive, or did they talk to each other briefly when they were snapped back into existence? And we haven't really heard an answer to this question from any character so far in the MCU. Spider-Man, he talked about, he told Tony, all that stuff about Doctor Strange that I mentioned, and he said it's been 5 years and blah blah blah, but other than that, we never really hear what exactly happened to them. Were they transported somewhere? Were they just snapped back into existence and then talk to each other? Things like that. It's never been mentioned in the MCU until now. And I think I know where the answer can be found to this question. It's in Marvel's most recent Disney Plus series, Loki. In the first season of Loki, we're introduced to the group known as the Time Variance Authority, who are basically an agency tasked with preserving the sacred timeline, which is what it's known as, which is the MCU as we know it, all the events and everything with the Avengers and all that stuff. It's called they know it as the sacred timeline. They're tasked with preserving the sacred timeline by hunting down individuals who cause branch timelines to be formed, which in the case of Avengers Endgame is Loki, hence why this series is all about him. Because if you know, when the Avengers went back in time to try and secure all the Infinity Stones, Tony Stark and Captain America and Ant-Man tried to get the Tesseract from the 2012 versions of themselves, the 2012 Avengers movie, essentially. And things accidentally go wrong, and Loki ends up escaping with the Tesseract. And that caused a branch timeline, which then the TVA had to come in and prune, is what they call it, which is basically erasing that timeline from existence and fixing everything after that, allowing, the main MCU timeline to continue as it's supposed to. But normally, when somebody creates a branch timeline, they not only erase the timeline, they prune that person from existence. They didn't do that with Loki here because reasons I'm not going to get into, because that would kind of spoil everything. So if you haven't seen Loki yet, go check out that series, though. It is amazing, and it does set up the future of the MCU in a huge way, so go check that out if you haven't seen it. But as we find out in episode 5 of the series, when somebody is pruned, or when anything is pruned really by the TVA, it is sent to a void at the end of time. And the reason for this, according to Ravonna Renslayer in the series, they can't physically remove matter from existence, but they can move it to another location. So everything that they prune, entire timelines, are basically just sent to this one location, a void at the end of time, basically. And in that void, we see all kinds of different things. There's pyramids and statues and crashed helicarriers and all this stuff from various timelines, just all being crunched together because those were timelines that were pruned and everything else. And what Ravonna said there got me thinking, maybe that's what happened to the victims of Thanos' snap, because she said they can't physically remove matter, can't physically be removed from the universe. It can only be transported somewhere else. So maybe when Thanos snapped his fingers, maybe this was a sort of form of pruning on a more, advanced level, because it takes everybody from the universe and basically gets rid of them. Maybe they were all transported to the void at the end of time, which would mean that every single person that was snapped away from existence wound up in the same location at the same time. And that's how Doctor Strange was able to pretty much open portals and allow everybody to come through. I mean, maybe they had to, when they were snapped back into existence, they were brought back from the void and then joined up with some of the other people, because, there were a bunch of Valkyries, a bunch of Asgardians, some that weren't snapped away that they needed to go get. But I think they had time for that. That's why they didn't come back right away anyways in Endgame. Because when they were snapped, it took like maybe another 5 or 10 minutes before they actually show up to help Cap at the end. So I think this is where Doctor Strange and Peter kind of talked. He said, okay, it's been 5 years, we need to get going. Maybe to them it was 5 minutes or 5 hours, because we know, based, like in Ant-Man, he said the quantum realm time is different here, and even in the TVA, time is different. So I'm sure at the void at the end of time, time flows differently. Maybe 5 years is quicker in the void, and it's like 5 hours or something. So they kind of just had to wait in the void for 5 hours, and then they were brought back using, when Hulk snapped his fingers and they recollected the stones. So I think that would be interesting to see them connect that to the Loki series. Now that we've been introduced to this void at the end of time and everything else, I think that would be interesting if they revealed that that's what actually happened to the people who were, snapped away. Because there's been a lot of theories, but we never really got any answers to this question. There were some theories that they were sent to, the soul world or something inside the soul stone or whatever. But I think this, just based on MCU canon and what we learned in the Loki series, I think this makes more sense as the answer to that question. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments section. Do you think this is what happened to the victims of Thanos' snap? Or do you think something else may have happened? Do you think they were just completely erased from existence? I'd love to hear your thoughts and theories down in the comments section. And be sure to like this video and subscribe for more. Every weekend we like to talk about Marvel. So stick around if you're a Marvel fan for that. And I will see you in the next one.
Subscribe.